Hello Internet, welcome back to another top and bottom 5 characters of the popular web series RWBY, created by the internet superstar Monty Ohm before being passed on to his friends at Rooster Teeth after his passing. It has gained an immense following and much popularity due in fact that it has some really great action scenes and an interesting theme of heroes and fairy tales. But what would any story be without great characters? And RWBY has some incredible ones. And that's what we're here to see, the top and bottom 5 characters of the 3rd volume of RWBY. Many call this the best volume out there, and for one of the reasons is the characters and the absolutely beautiful scenes that we got with them. So let's take a look at some of the best and the worst, starting of course with the latter, because as great as Volume 3 was, there are always going to be those characters that just didn't meet the mark, either because they didn't get enough attention, or because they were just terrible in their own right. And this first worst is because of the former, that being...
Number 5. Salem.
Why is it that we've been asking the same question for 3 seasons now of who the hell is that? Well, Salem's on this list, both because of that and also because of the total amount of screen time she had was shorter than her mention on this list.
Not as short as your mini-me.
Shut up.
I don't understand what it is with Rooster Teeth and having their villains suddenly appear at the end like they think it's some shocking reveal. Cause it's not, cause we have no context. I mean, so far he just popped out of nowhere going, "Hello, I'm mysterious and evil."
And our response is usually, okay.
A villain's sudden appearance only works if they were once a good guy and or are surprising the main cast.
But Salem Bitch Trials here is
Surprising no one, not even the audience, cause she is revealed to none of Team RWBY and we the viewer don't have a clue who she is. That's why she's on this list, but she's been placed at the bottom of the bottom because Jen Taylor is still an amazing voice actor. According to Rooster Teeth, she needed only a single try to record her lines in the intro of Volume 1, and it still shows here. For while we're still confused on who she is and her place in this fairy tale, Jen still draws us in with her incredible voice. Sadly, what also puts her on this list is her design, cause she ain't winning no beauty pageants. Or ugly pageants. She might place second in a boring contest cause it looks like they were going for a dark, edgy, evil design.
But it comes across more like she's trying to cosplay as some zombie Victorian era emo on the budget that Volume 1 had.
A villain needs to command a presence with their wardrobe and posture as well as their voice. And in her 12 parsecs of a debut, she leaves much to be desired. She sounds great, but looks terrible. Probably why she kept the voice acting. Anyway, sadly, Salem doesn't impress, for which she failed this trial. I am clever with the words.
Number 4. James Ironwood.
Such a disappointing character, and no, I didn't put him on this list because he yelled at my yank. He is supposed to be, as we saw, the conflicted character, the morally gray good guy that is supposed to make the hard controversial choices for the greater good. However, sadly, his character wasn't defined enough for that role.
To have some sympathy for the man, we first must see him conflicted and unsure, and more important, himself sympathetic towards others. Okay, maybe I am bitter because he was an asshole to Yang, but that was just his militaristic nature coming out. The same happened with Winter Schnee, his lieutenant. However, she also had some moments of kindness that humanized her to us. What James needed was what we got back in Volume 2, Episode 10, where we got to see a more vulnerable human side to the General. Which is also why he is on this list, because we learned back in Episode 11 that he may indeed be more machine than man. However, that was passed over faster than the homeless guy on the street corner. Ain't got no time to check if he's dead or not, and ain't got no time to explain why General Ironwood's name is a bit more ironic than it already was. However, that's small potatoes to the character, as we knew that people like Penny existed, and we've seen advanced prosthetics like those with Mercury. It seems like they were trying to set up some sort of internal conflict between the adults by making it seem like the General's allegiances were in question. But that was so manufactured that even Crow, junk off his ass, could see through it. And he's been hitting things that would make Wolverine go blind. If only he had better lines. If only he had more screen time. If only he had more sympathetic characterization. If only this Tin Man had a heart.
Number 3. Mercury Black.
The asshole's back on the list, and it's pretty much for the reasons I just called him and nothing else. A good antagonist not only gets you to love to hate them, but begrudgingly hate to love them, as you can't help but see them as human. Mercury has neither of those.
We did get a flashback explaining his carefree, sadistic nature. However, it still isn't enough to make him an interesting villain. He's still like a B or C class bad guy, which I guess you could argue that he is. But he's neither fun to watch, nor is it interesting to see his interactions with the others. We don't need to feel sympathetic towards our villains. However, Mercury is one of the main reoccurring antagonists, and he could have had a much bigger impact on us if he was a fun villain that we enjoyed hating and seeing him fool around with our heroes. Unfortunately, every time he pops on screen, the audience feel more annoyance that he'll say something stupid or smirk like an idiot than any sense of enjoyment like we get with Roman. He's not a confident villain. He's a douchebag. And as any real man will tell you, douchebaggery does not equal confidence, as it just frustrates us that we can't fulfill his order of a knuckle sandwich. He makes us mad that he couldn't have been the one eaten and fried. Good going, Rooster Teeth. Sorry to hear that his daddy beat him black and blue, but when it came to being a good villain, Mercury came up a few feet short. Number 2. Amber, the Fall Maiden.
It's kind of funny that we're talking about this character, as some of you looking back in a few years' time, hopefully, I don't know if YouTube will still be around or if it will piss off its content creators enough that they storm the buildings, drag out the CEO, and behead her like the tyrants of old. But this character shares the same name as my own. But don't worry if you don't know her. That's pretty much what we get with this Amber.
It's just so disappointing how much they set her up by name-dropping her in the second volume, and then giving us a super-powered battle midway through the third, but not once did they characterize her. Literally, you could have replaced her with an enchanted stone, and would have lost nothing in personality, because that's all she was! A magical MacGuffin used only to advance the plot. And it's not like they couldn't give her any characterization, as they could have used the adults as a way to convey who she was and what she meant to them. Hell, the only time this happens is when Crow saves her. But a single look of pity is ironically just sad. And what's worse is that the only characteristic that she had was extremely nerfed. She was supposed to have these awesome powers rivaled by no single being. And all we got was some wind, her using a modded version of Razor Leaf, and having a serious case of pink eye. And all it took to bring down this incredibly powerful magical maiden was Three Stooges and the extreme strength of plot convenience. In the end, we needed more from this Renaissance Fair cosplayer. But thanks to the writers, Amber used to be an all-powerful fall maiden, till she took an arrow to the chest.
And now for the dishonorable mentions, those who were bad, but not bad enough to be ranked on this list.
Ermal Sustri. She's definitely sympathetic and likable in this volume, but still character-wise was played down. She could have used more screen time, but I guess she couldn't Jedi mind trick the writers to giving herself a better position in this volume. The White Fang. Again, not a character, but collectively they do act like one, as they don't have any characterization. They should have been the morally complex group that we were sensitive towards because of their plight, but here their teeth were just a little too clean. Team Bronze. Yeah, scraping the bottom of the barrel, but that's what it felt like with this team, as every other had a very interesting and unique design where clearly more than 2 minutes of effort was spent on making them. However, when it came to cool and original designs, both for clothing and character, this team barely scored a bronze. Number 1. Pyranikos.
Oh! That's some good waifu! But seriously, why did Pyra have to chase after Cinder? It makes no sense. It's about as stupid as believing that I mean any of this. Gotcha, didn't I? Yeah, you guys know this is a joke. There's no way I would put her on this list. My channel wouldn't survive. No, we all know who really deserves this spot.
Number 1. Adam Taurus.
Again, the horny emo is on this list, but it's not for what he did. No, definitely not for what he did to me. Definitely not what he did to my love. No, he's here because yet again, we needed Rooster Teeth to deliver a stellar performance from the Red Revolutionary, and they failed. Again.
The dude barely had more than 2/4 worth of screen time, and in each he was played down just as another background character, which is terrible as he was the only villain that we could have sympathized with. Whatever your feelings for Cinder, and whether you think that she's just another hurt soul lashing back, or the most wicked of beings that deserves to be ripped apart by Grimm, at least there was Adam, a man fighting to bring freedom and equality to his people who have been oppressed and even enslaved, who sees the city as an even bigger insult, cause whether or not there's oppression there, they seem unaware of the strife that his race is suffering under. We should have felt conflicted on hating him. At least until that one scene that we're not going to talk about, because as I said, that one scene that never happened is not the reason he's on this list. But we needed this morally great character to balance out the villains. We also needed him to be a more sympathetic bad guy with a deep personal connection with our Nico girl, to draw us into the struggle and conflict that she was experiencing. Sadly, however, both Miles and Carrie failed on both these levels, and making it even worse by also forgetting him and the White Fang in Salem's monologued ending. There is nothing more background character-like than having them show up as a minor road bump and then disappearing for the rest of the season. It's hard to disagree with the common statement that Rooster Teeth can't do villains when this is all they can give us. Unfortunately for Adam, when it came to being a good character, he just couldn't make the cut. God, I suck. Not as much as Rooster Teeth, but God, do I suck.
Well, we've seen Miles and Kilometers come up short when it comes to making good villains, but that is not what they're known for. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Rooster Teeth is known for their stellar ability to make some amazing characters, as it's seen with their other popular web series, Red vs. Blue. And let's take a look at some of the best that RWBY Volume 3 has to offer, starting with...
Number 5. Cinder Falls.
Oh, no you didn't!
Oh, yes I did!
Oh, no you didn't.
Oh, yes I did!
Oh, no you didn't.
Oh, yes I did, as well as remove your bullets!
Damn it.
Anyways, as I was saying... Ow! What the hell, man?
Could you pick that up? I want to throw it at you again.
No, you deranged lunatic! Which is one of the reasons why people think that she shouldn't be on this list.
Well, it's actually for a different reason for most fans, but for those with credibility to their name, a few of them say that it's because she's a poor villain who just likes to sadistically hurt others, and because she has little to no backstory whom we can't sympathize with. But you don't need to know about a bad guy's past to like them as a character or love them as a villain. Just take a look at Father, Voldemort, Palpatine, Fire Lord Ozai. We know very little about each's past in story, but each still strikes a presence thanks to their actions, their lines, and the voices behind them. From day one, Jessica Nigri proved that she can deliver a stellar performance worthy of her cup size. And while the dynamic doofuses struggle with the story and her part in it, they managed to give her the intimidating presence and vital role in the plot this volume, culminating in her victory over Ozpin, the destruction of Beacon, and the death of the real reason you hate her. But even then, we were given something to her past. It isn't explicitly stated, however, from her lines in episodes 7, 9, and 12, we can see that she has a grudge against this world that has hurt her. We don't need to feel sorry for Cinder, but we can feel sorry for what has happened to her. Again, Nigri brings out the pain, not only in a way that fits Cinder's current personality, but also with her place as the main villain. I'm sorry if you don't get why some would fall for Cinder's role in this volume, but maybe you were just too hot for someone else. Number 4. Jean Arc.
Yeah, the blonde boy wonder is on this list, but anybody who's seen episode 8 knows exactly why. Johnny Boy started out as a mild side character, playing the role as the underdog, but thanks to this volume more than any other, he has shown that he can play fetch with the big boys.
While the character in no way has been bad, as Miles Luna has given him a caring and accurate tone for his role, that role has almost always been the side joke and doofus as we've seen in the past 2 volumes, with little to no true impact on the plot. Write what you know, I guess. However, in this season, Jean has taken full reign over his title as team captain by leading his team to victory in their first fight, returning the emotional support RWBY once gave him, and by being the friend that Pyrrha needed. And while this all started out a bit rough, each time he appeared it got better and better, climaxing in the first true romantic scene between 2 characters. And in it, he was neither the strong knight in shining armor, nor the wimpy white knight, but instead, just himself. Someone who knows what it's like to feel weak and confused, but also what it's like to be helped by someone on a similar road. Though his screen time was still mild this go around, he left a large impact on both the rest of the characters and our hearts. When it came to a character arc this season, John certainly went the miles.
Number 3. Crow Bronwyn.
You bet your buttocks this guy was going to be on the list somewhere. Voiced by the legend Vic Mignogna, one of the most popular characters of the show so far, and possibly one of the coolest uncles to boot. Yeah, this unlucky bastard deserves to be on this list.
What else can I say about him? From the moment he showed up in episode 3, he stole the limelight from every other character, to some of their annoyances. It's a combination of swagger and line delivery, arguably both attributed to Mr. Elric, though for once Miles and Carrie can be proud of something, because for once they were able to have some fun writing an adult character who didn't take everything so seriously. Rooster Teeth were finally able to go back to the red versus blue roots of making a character who would take the piss out of things and, well, act like a normal person would in these situations. And this works wonders with his chemistry between his nieces. Not only did we get a second generation looking to the older,
Not funny.
in awe and inspiration, but we could finally see the family aspect that was hinted with Weiss's father, John's sister, and Nora and Red's orphan status by bringing it back to the first familiar connection mentioned. And there's nothing else I can really talk about, because everything else was awesome! From his aesthetics, to his fight scene, to his semi-father figure status, to his calm and lax aura, to his casual drinking, to pretty much everything about him. I guess it's lucky that Crow helped RWBY's popularity soar to new heights.
Number 2. Pyrrha Nikos.
Am I forgiven for my joke? Because Pyrrha is most certainly a great character, and though she didn't really have much more development than she had last time, but her involvement and performance in the plot cemented her place on this list.
Again, she just seemed like the pretty-faced good girl who pees rainbows and poops jelly beans and never does anything wrong. But Rooster Teeth have darker minds than you guys, as they decided to put that all to the test. And Jen Brown did a heartbreaking job at conveying Pyrrha's internal confliction at the situation that she had been placed in, forcing her to make a seriously hard choice, and yet, the way she struggles, the way she holds to her morals, even through what is at stake, and the way it all humanized her, proves that Pyrrha Nikos is more than just waifu bait. In the first volume, she was a strong warrior. In the second, she opened up as more vulnerable and longing for a true connection with someone. But here in the third, she was at her very best. A true warrior, a vulnerable maiden, a conflicted character. Miles and Carrie did an excellent job of keeping to the vision that Monty had set for our gladiator, and didn't back down when it came to the very difficult decision to send her off. We will never forget how great this character was, nor the connections she made, nor the sacrifices she was willing to take up to defend the one she loved. In the beginning, her distinction between a character and a waifu might have been a bit polarizing, but Pyrrha truly shone brightly in the end.
Never happened, but nope, everything's fine. Pyrrha is fine. Nothing bad ever happened. Ever.
You're right, Chibi Nora. Nothing bad happened. All is okay. All is well. All is well. All is well. And now that I have you guys back to hating me, let's take a look at a few honorable mentions. And as it's clear to see with my dishonorables, as I had to include two groups as characters, it was far easier filling this list.
Winter Schnee. Just with Crow, this character was an immediate hit with the fans the moment she took stage. However, due to a lack of screen time, she lost the spot on the list to Crow, which I'm pretty sure she's rather cold about. Yang Xiaolong. Sorry, my waifu, but I couldn't put you on the list again, no matter how great you were this time. But bias aside, Yang was truly a standout character, and Barbara did such a great job at bringing across all the emotions that broke our hearts that you can call her acting outstanding. Cause you gotta hand it to Yang, she really disarmed us with her cutting performance. Taiyang Jiaolong. Bernie Burns has always been a great voice actor, and it shows even with his extremely limited screen time of Taiyang. From the moment he opened his mouth, all we could see and hear was a loving father, exactly what Bernie is himself. And here, though Taiyang's moments on screen weren't very long, he still shone bright as the sun. Number 1. Ruby Rose.
I'm not joking. That's the one that grew the most, the one that has been there to influence all the others, and the one that has had 3 volumes of character building paid off, as it is time for Ruby to shine. While her placement on the other list still stands, for now she has earned her status of main character by pretty much being just that.
Previously, she didn't do too well because Miles and Carrie didn't do enough to include her into the story. But they did have her play the part of the untold hero. Helping people in the background but never taking the spotlight was nice, though a little disappointing as she was supposed to be the main protagonist. However, in this season, we can see how they built her up and readied her to take this role going forward. They slowly pushed her out of just simply being there to help her friends through some guidance and encouraging words, to understanding that she had a part to play in this tale, and letting her choose to play it. Ruby's talk with Crow helps cement that, and Lindsay Jones has certainly come a long way from her first debut in the Yellow trailer, taking this young flower and helping her to blossom into the strong rose we needed. For again, up until the destruction of her silicon friend, she had simply been too innocent to fight against our villains. But now that she has lost someone she loved, she was determined not to lose another, only to learn the hard way that heroes don't always save the day. But they never give up, they never surrender, they always keep moving forward. And who knows what lies before her in the next volume. However, we can most assuredly know the villains better beware, because while this rose might be beautiful, with its silver splendor comes the sting of its thorn.
And that's the top and bottom 5 characters of the 3rd volume of the incredible web series RWBY. What were some of your favorite characters? Leave a comment in the section below, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to keep up to date, and don't forget to give this video a like. I'm Ricardo, and I'll catch you guys later. Toodles!
This is my fort.